This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Right, I'll put this article in the description box for you guys to go have a read for yourself. But of course, before you do, make sure you click a thumbs up to this video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you haven't, are you crazy? Now, within this article, Eddie Hearn said that Anthony Joshua would stop Luis Ortiz in 3 rounds. Not a problem. And this is what Eddie Hearn had to say. Is Ortiz the boogeyman? Joshua will destroy Ortiz 3 rounds, no problem. I'll tell you what, if Luis Ortiz wants to do it after June 1st, no problem. We'll sign a contract to do that as well. So that was Eddie Hearn's initial statement to that. And then, of course, he responded to a reporter or reporters saying that they heard that not only will Deontay Wilder rematch Luis Ortiz next, but Luis Ortiz will get around about $5 million. And Eddie Hearn said this: well, if he is, effing congratulations, my friend. And also, I've just seen a pig fly across the forum. It was unbelievable. I'll tell you next week what Luis Ortiz was offered for that fight with Joshua. I better hope for Ortiz's sake and his kids and their kids' sake that it was as much money as they're going to get for this supposed Wilder fight. Eddie Hearn's statement. So, I think it's pretty obvious that he's not going to get $5 million or more to rematch Deontay Wilder, because first time when he fought Wilder, he only got 500 grand. And since then, of course, he's taken a loss to Wilder. So, him losing to Wilder, is he going to 10 times his purse to rematch Wilder? Of course not. He's not going to get $5 million to fight Wilder. Not even close to it. And if he did, then you would have to expect that Wilder would get around about 20 million, would he not? 15 to 20 million. As in the first time round, Deontay Wilder got 2.1 million, Luis Ortiz got 500 grand. So in other words, Luis Ortiz got, what, 20%? Okay. Now, if Ortiz had been mandatory, he'd have got 30%, so it would have been a little bit more. So Wilder's going to have to be getting like 20 million plus, who knows? And of course, they're going to have to risk it by putting it on pay-per-view. But all that aside, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But it does seem that somebody within the Luis Ortiz camp, and by going what Luis Ortiz, his trainer, said, and of course his manager in Jay Jimenez, saying that it's pretty much the promoter that scuppered the whole Anthony Joshua deal. They got greedy is what happened. It was well over $5 million allegedly. I think it was around about $6.5 million is what Anthony Joshua offered Luis Ortiz to come fight on June 1st, when even Luis Ortiz's coach said 5 weeks is fine, we'll take that fight, not a problem. But somebody somewhere within the Luis Ortiz camp didn't want this fight, or they just got really greedy. It's one of the two. Either way, it looks like the fight could well be off. But hopefully, who knows, hopefully what Eddie Hearn is saying here is a red herring. And in fact, they are still negotiating, as we haven't had any kind of announcement yet as to Anthony Joshua's next opponent. But I think most people are probably expecting Andy Ruiz. If not, it's going to be either Trevor Bryan or Michael Hunter. But I think most people would prefer Luis Ortiz, purely because he's been in there with Wilder. People want that measuring stick. But, you know, as I've always said, and I always said it about Wilder versus Brazil, even though that Joshua destroyed Dominic Brazil, when Joshua even had glandular fever in that fight, that doesn't mean that Wilder is going to struggle or go longer with Dominic Brazil. He could get rid of Dominic Brazil in the first round. Likewise with Joshua, he could get rid of Luis Ortiz in the first round, or Luis Ortiz could beat Joshua, or Dominic Brazil could beat Wilder. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that is a true measuring stick as to who would win between Wilder and Joshua. Not at all. But for me, no matter how these fights turn out, for me, Joshua would destroy Wilder within 2 rounds, Charles Martin 2.0 style. Now, as far as Joshua versus Ortiz after June 1st, this is kind of where I'm looking at it going, Eddie, what are you talking about? Okay, because to my knowledge, again, listen, I'm not an inside information guy on this one, not at all. But what we do know is that June 1st will be Anthony Joshua's last voluntary defense, because his next fight is going to have to be Alexander Usyk, who will be the WBO mandatory. But ultimately, after then as well, he's going to be the IBF mandatory. So Josh is going to have back-to-back mandatories unless he's planning on fighting more than twice a year, because we've been told by Eddie Hearn that Josh is only going to be fighting twice a year now. So he's going to be fighting June the 1st and then at the end of the year. Unless he's going to squeeze one in between now and then, maybe he can give Luis Ortiz a title shot. If not, then Luis Ortiz is going to have to go fight Alexander Usyk before it gets mandated, or go fight a Kubrat Pulev or a Dillian White or something like that to get a world title shot. Luis Ortiz turning down this fight, well, not him, but a member of his team, in my opinion, has blown any kind of chance of any kind of future fight with Joshua and Ortiz. So if that fight's going to happen, they need to get motoring and get it done now. As I said before, they were supposed to have announced Anthony Joshua yesterday. So I'm not too sure what the hold-up is, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, article in the description box. Go give it a read for yourself. Do you think that Anthony Joshua will destroy Luis Ortiz in only 3 rounds? Not a problem. Drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up and, of course, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.